Now I'm wibbling on about layer masks, and you may be thinking, well, you can't do that in Photoshop Elements. Well, you can. You might also say, well, why don't we just erase the sky to get rid of it? Well, you can do that as well, but layer masks let you bring it back again. It gives you more choice about what you erase and what you don't. So let me show you how to do it. Well, let's go to a new adjustment layer. Let's choose levels. Now we're not really worrying about using this adjustment layer to adjust the levels of the image. We're just going to click OK, in fact, and ignore it from now on. We're not changing levels, but what we'll do is drag it beneath the exposure layer. And the next thing to do to attach the two together is hold down the Alt key as you hover over there. Don't click, just hold the Alt key and you'll get an icon like that. Can you see that little icon there? Now click and this becomes offset. And now these two are linked, and what you can do is click on the mask here, and instead of adjusting the levels, it's actually going to be affecting this layer here. So if we go now and press B for the brush tool, or choose a brush, a nice large brush of about 800 pixels should do. Make sure that the foreground color is black, because black makes parts of the layer transparent. Now watch what happens when I spray on the sky. I'm spraying out the sky from the attached layer. Okay, but I'm not adjusting or spraying over any of those lights that we want to keep. Okay, so there's the sky now transparent, so we see the sky from the layer below. If I just turn this layer on and off, you can see that we're adding the new lights to it. But we're also missing some of this foreground layer here as well. So what I'll do is go back to my layer mask and just increase my brush a little bit using the right square bracket and spray like so to make this lower section of the layer transparent, so we can see our glowing foreground layer that we created earlier. So all that's left now of this layer here really is these streaky lights. Let me just turn it on and off so you can see. Okay, so that's the first composited layer that we've added to our project, and we've masked out the bits that we don't want using this clever layer mask trick. So that's exposure 1 added. Let's go to exposure 2 and select all, or Control A if you're into shortcuts, and then edit copy or Control C, and let's pop back to the start again. It's quite handy having the photo bin open like this, because you can jump back and forth between documents quite easily. You could Control and Tab to cycle through documents, look as I do that using the keyboard shortcut, but you have to go through them in numerical order, so it's easier just to jump back and forth by clicking on what you want. Then let's go to Edit Paste to paste our copied layer, and let's call this Exposure 2. So here's Exposure 2 added to our project, and at the moment it's basically covering up everything underneath. So the first thing to do is to change, of course, the layer blending mode to lighten. So that gets rid of all the darker pixels on the layer, and only the light ones remain. Okay, so let's just see how that affects our background. Let's turn that on and off. Yeah, lots more lovely streaks of light, and because this is a much darker exposure, we're not showing up any of the lighting in the sky there. We're not actually losing any of that foreground either, so I don't need to mask this using the layer mask technique. This one's fine. You can see from the thumbnails that we used different timing settings. We've got lots of different looking exposures. That's why it's good that we're only using the lights from each layer, and we're not losing our correctly exposed background, which we started off with in start.tiff. So let's go to exposure 3. This is a lighter one, so we will need to do a little bit of masking on this. So again, select all, edit copy, pop back to start, edit paste. You'll soon get yourself into a rhythm once you start doing this quickly. Let's just label it while we're here again. Exposure 03. Now again, layer blending, let's change this to lighten, and let's turn it on and off just to see the difference. You can see there it's changing what we're seeing in the foreground now, and also some of the sky is different. We've got a bit of a streak here which isn't really working, so we'll lose that. So let's go to create a new adjustment layer. Let's choose levels again, click OK, make sure you drag it beneath exposure like so, and then if you just hold down the Alt key once you're in between the two, click when you see that little icon, and you can start then to spray on the mask itself by using the brush tool and a black brush, of course, and we can get rid of these particular streaks that don't work. But be careful not to stray over the lights that we do want to keep. Let's just go to the foreground there and spray a little bit more. Hit tab to hide the floating palette. And there we go. We've now got some more lights added without interfering with our sky or our foreground layer.